everyone, it's Jill Emerson here at Green Mountain Conservation Group, and today on Experimentation Station we're going to learn about lake stratification from a little quick experiment here dealing with water densities. So all you need for this experiment is essentially two clear containers that have the same diameter across. My warm liquid here, warm to hot, I've colored in red, and this container is just filled with cold water that I've colored with a blue food coloring. The only other thing that you will need is something that's like a hard piece of plastic that's also easy to manipulate and is relatively thin. I also strongly recommend a secondary container, because if you've screwed this up like I have a couple of times, having something that catches all of the excess water would be really handy, and it will help reduce the mess that you make in your house. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little piece of plastic and I'm going to stick it on top of my warm water. Next, I'm going to try to flip this warm water to sit on top of the cold water, but I'm going to keep this plastic piece in place. It's going to be used to help me flip. All right, so now what I'm going to do is, like a magician, I'm going to remove this piece of plastic, and I want you guys to think about whether or not the two colors here are now going to mix, or do you think they're going to stay each in their little tubes? So you guys have your hypothesis? All right, let's see what happens. Let's see if I can do this without making a giant mess. Haha, look at that, nailed it. All right, so what happened? So you can see that the red liquid, which is warmer, has stayed in its tube on top. And the colder liquid here that's colored blue has stayed on the bottom. Now, what's going to happen when I flip them over and the blue liquid goes on top and the red goes on bottom? Do you think each of them are going to stay in their containers like they are now? Or do you think they're going to mix together? Got your hypothesis? All right, let's find out. Here we go. Ooh. Oh no! I lost most of my liquid. Oh dear. Well, what you can see though that happened is now I have this beautiful purple color. We have another video of this that shows a better flip. Yeah, this was pretty terrible. So, the colors in this case mixed, and now I have this nice, somewhat purple color all the way through the water column here. So why did this happen? Well, it has to do with the density of the water. Warm water is less dense than colder water, which will stay at the surface or higher up. Cold water, which is more dense, will sink to the bottom. This is the same thing that happens to lakes during the summer, and we have a little figure here that we're going to show you. Okay, so in the experiment that we just ran with the red water that was hot on top, the blue water that was cold on the bottom, this is a great example of what happens to your lakes in the summer, called thermal stratification. So here what you can see in this picture is that warm water likes to be at the top of the water column here in an area known as the epilimnion. Underneath that, you have slightly cooler water in the metalimnion. It also contains the thermocline, which is the greatest difference in temperatures of in a lake. And at the bottom here, you have the much colder hypolimnion. Now, the way that this works is that our colder water, which is heavier, sinks to the bottom, and our warmer water, which is less dense, rises to the top. And so you'll notice if you go swimming in a lake or a pond in the summer, and you stick your feet down in it when you're out in deeper water, you can actually feel that temperature difference on your feet versus up closer to the surface. During the fall and the spring, what we see is that the water temperatures tend to become a little more even and you lose this thermal stratification. So this is pretty much a summer phenomenon for a lot of lakes and streams in our area. So I hope you learned a little bit about how your lakes and ponds work. If you have any suggestions for what we should do on Experimentation Station, feel free to write in. Otherwise, let us know how your water density experiments work. We'd love to hear back from people, and thanks for tuning in. Hello. Welcome to Lounging in Experimentation Station. This is not going to work.
No.
Here above me, you can see Lake Stratification. We're gonna have to prop this up somewhere.
Yeah, we need a table.